Hey, it's been 2 years since the Apostle P channel has been on the air of YouTube. And I thought it was time to sit down with you guys and do a bit of a channel update and do a little housekeeping and talk about what we're going to do in 2015. Stick with me, guys. Hi gang, Rob here. It's the evening, late in the evening of 12 February 2015. And yes, it has been 2 years since I decided to reignite the YouTube career. Reignite, that's pretty funny. It started with a little flicker, and because of you guys, our little channel has managed to reach 7,500 subscribers. And I guess a month or two ago, 1 million times people clicked on one of my overly wordy, long-winded videos. And it boggles the mind. It really, really does. 1 million times people actually click their mouse to watch me and listen to me talk. I have no idea why. But here we go. And if you watched this morning's Cold Steel Tough Light video, you might have noticed that that was number 400. There might have been 405 or 410, but 400 videos on my YouTube channel. That's kind of busy for a guy who works full-time 50 or 60 hours a week trying to run a car dealership. Why does that happen? Well, it happens because you guys tell me that you want it. You watch my videos, you engage me in the comments, you give me encouragement. Sometimes you give me reason to fight back. Mostly you give me encouragement and you let me know that you want more. So I keep making them. Pretty cool stuff. And I really want to thank all of you guys. Most of what I do on this channel concerns knives and sharing my Christian faith with you. And it's very gratifying to know that you appreciate what I do and you want more of it. And I thank you for that. I also thank you for supporting a crucial component of this YouTube channel, which is the Apostle P knife service. I think I was about 4 or 5 months into the Apostle P channel as basically a knife reviewer, and I was kind of coming to the end of the collection, and I didn't know what I was going to talk about for another year or 2 years or 5 years or however long this channel is going to be here. I also kind of wanted to feed my adult addiction of knife collecting, so I started doing something that I've done for years and years and years for money, which is sharpen knives. And that's given the channel lots of subject matter, having other people's knives come across the sharpening bench. And it's also facilitated my ability to purchase more knives for use, for collecting, and for review. So we constantly have fresh content on the channel. So thanks for supporting not only the channel, but the knife service as well. A couple items for you guys who don't know. The Apostle P YouTube channel also has a couple other social media components. I'm also on Instagram as the Apostle P and on Facebook, both as Rob Bixby the person, and then the Apostle P also has a Facebook page. I can't say that I've been super diligent about posting content on Facebook, and I'll get to my next point, which is communication. I sort of have that Facebook page just so I have a Facebook page. It's not a preferred method of communication for me, and as you know, I've kind of been stumbling through the modern age of social media as sort of a part-time businessman, as you know, the operator of the Apostle P brand, if you can call it that, for goodness sake. I have these components, but I'm one guy. I don't have a I don't have a social media director. I don't have a secretary. I sharpen the knives, I make the videos, and I answer all the emails, texts, personal messages, Facebook Messenger messages, and it's more than I can do. It just is. So, part of what I want to get across to you guys, whom I appreciate so much in this video, is how to communicate with me. And you know, those of you who have communicated with me, you know I'm a pretty easy guy to talk to. I also know that there might be some of you who have reached out to me in methods of communication that have been ineffective in me answering you. So just so you know, the best way, in fact the only ways that you can communicate with me and be reasonably assured that we're actually going to have a dialogue or that I'm going to respond, are by email. And I will put my email address in the description of this video. It's also in the description of my knife service video. You may also text or call me, and I will put my phone number in the description of this video. I think it's also in the description of my knife service video. Now, having said that, I may or may not answer my phone or a text during business hours of my regular job, or family time, or time that I just need to be alone. So if you call me and I don't answer, leave a voicemail. If you text me and I don't get back to you right away, or I don't get back to you at all, text me again. It's not that I don't want to talk to you or that I'm avoiding you, but sometimes the volume is just a little hard to keep up with. So if you have a genuine reason for getting a hold of me, be persistent. If I miss you, it's not because I wanted to, it's just because sometimes it's a little more than I can handle. Having said all that, please do not try to contact me through YouTube personal messages or Facebook Messenger. I just can't check 6 or 7 or 8 methods of personal contact with sharpening customers and YouTube subscribers. And if you have a YouTube channel, you know that YouTube personal messages are completely worthless. There's nothing on your dashboard that tells you you have a message. It takes 3 or 4 steps to get to your messages. It's just not worth maintaining. So please, if you need to get a hold of me, email, call, or text. Let's see. Before I get to some more positive things in this video, I want to talk about channel decorum and how I handle negativity, rudeness, profanity, and personal attacks on this channel. And I'm bringing this up now because I don't know if it's been just some of the content on the channel, or if it's because I've reached a certain size or a certain crowd has subscribed and started to follow me. But in the last couple months, I've had to delete more comments and ban more users from this channel just for subject matter of comments and language that I just won't have on this channel. You guys know what my life's about. And the comment sections of my videos aren't going to be forums for people to speak in disrespectful and profane and rude ways. It's just not going to happen. And I like those comment sections to be constructive exchanges of ideas, so we can all be edified and learn from each other. So if I see somebody weighing in the comments with rudeness, profanity, personal attacks, the first time it happens, I'm going to try to gently, with mercy and grace, reprimand them. And sometimes I get my back up a little bit, and sometimes the grace doesn't flow. I'm not perfect. But that first time I'm going to try to reprimand gently, lovingly, with grace, and request that the behavior be corrected. Sometimes, and you guys all know these situations, sometimes what I would sort of call a know-it-all, an armchair quarterback, might weigh in with some kind of arrogant comment, I may request, of course, after having looked at his channel to find that he doesn't contribute with videos, I may ask that person respond and clarify his point of view by making a video. If the comment is extremely inappropriate, I probably will delete it. And I'll explain to the person who did it why I deleted it. Now, if it's an ongoing issue, if after making a sincere effort, always assuming the best about people, to change that behavior, if it persists, I'll just ban you from the channel. None of us who are part of this community, at least the little microcosm of the community that are subscribed to my channel, we just don't need to deal with trolls. Just don't need to do it and won't do it. Now, having said all that, please understand that constructive criticism is not only okay, it's welcome. I make mistakes in my videos all the time. Somebody who talks as much as I do and pretty much extemporaneously without without a script, I'm going to say things that are wrong. Whether it's just something that comes out wrong or whether it's something that I understand incorrectly, I'm going to make mistakes. And please correct me if I do, but do it respectfully. And if you are calling me out on a mistake, please make sure that you not only call me out, but that you supply the correct answer. And make sure the correction that you're giving is really the truth. I do love to learn as long as I'm learning the truth. Now let's get to some frequently asked questions. And YouTubers do these frequently asked questions segments so they don't have to answer the same question over and over and over. That's why we do them. So if you're watching, please pay attention to this segment of the video. If you have inquiries about my knife service, my sharpening service, please watch my knife sharpening service video. There's a link to it at the beginning of every single one of my videos. It covers pricing, what I do, where to send them, how to get a hold of me, all that stuff. In fact, if you have a general question about my sharpening service, it's probably either in that video or in the description. The answer is. Not that I don't love to talk to you guys, because I do, but there are a lot of you. That's kind of why I have that video up. Next question. What sharpening system do you use? And I understand new viewers come into the channel all the time and don't know that I have, 7 or 8 or 9 videos on the Edge Pro Apex. That's my primary system for sharpening. Soon to be upgraded probably to an Edge Pro Professional. But that is what I use with the factory stock waterstones and polishing tapes. I don't use any exotic made for the Edge Pro other stuff. Pretty simple, and it works. Ben Dale, who owns Edge Pro, he's the inventor of the Edge Pro system. Guy knows how to sharpen, and he designed a system to maximize his skill. If you guys are familiar with Cliff Stamp's forum, and Cliff is a knife edge expert of the first order, does the most real objective testing and analysis of testing data on knife edges of anybody I know. And he's got an old sharpening contest sort of buried layers deep on his website, and one of the top performers ever in Cliff Stamp's sharpening contest, and it is a stringent one, is Ben Dale. There's a lot of stuff you can buy for your Edge Pro that's really expensive that I'm not sure makes it better. So that's what I use. Another one, how long is your sharpening backlog? And the answer to this question rarely changes. It's generally going to be between 2 and 3 weeks in my shop, meaning from the day I get your knife till I ship it out. 2 to 3 weeks. If I see my backlog getting longer than that, I'll make a video saying, don't send me anything until further notice, or don't send me anything until this date. I just don't feel comfortable having your stuff for more than 3 weeks, because that means you're without it for a month. Another great question. What's the best way to maintain my edge after you sharpen my knife? Most knives, most modern folders, or even traditionals, I'm going to sharpen with a secondary bevel or a relief bevel somewhere in the 15 to 17 degree range. And then I'm going to apply a micro bevel somewhere in the 19 to 20 degree range. I do that for a couple reasons. First of all, it's great cutting geometry for most knives. Very similar to what Spyderco does at the factory. Which brings me to, what's the best way to maintain my edge after you sharpen it? The Spyderco Sharp Maker, I think, for somebody who doesn't sharpen a lot of knives, is the best thing to use to maintain an edge that has good geometry in between major sharpenings. Use the 40 degrees side, which is 40 degrees inclusive, or 20 degrees per side. And if I've put a 19 degree or 38 degree inclusive micro bevel off on your knife, when you use that 20 degrees per side fixture of the Sharp Maker, you're going to hit the apex in just a few strokes. You're going to have a razor sharp edge back. If you're really ambitious, get yourself a leather strap. And again, I kind of believe in the basics. Some green rouge type compound, which is sort of an ultra-fine compound, and you'll be back in business, ready to go. And you can do that several times before you need to send your knife back to me to sort of reprofile it and get you a nice small apex again. Next question. Why do you hate overbuilt knives so much? Well, Providence answers that question. I just happened to be watching a couple weeks ago a SHOT Show video from Nut and Fancy. He was at the Spyderco booth and did a round table with designers. So he had Ed Shemp, Brad Southard, Phil Wilson, and Gail Bradley at the table. And he was interviewing, I think he was interviewing Phil Wilson. Ed Shemp and Gail Bradley were kind of off in the background, and there was kind of a pause in the conversation between Nutton and Phil Wilson. And you could see Gail Bradley holding up a Spyderco Gail Bradley folder to Ed Shemp, and he said under his breath, but loud enough for us to hear, "You can't call it a hard-use knife, you can't cut anything with it." That's your answer. Credit to Mr. Bradley. Why do I hate overbuilt knives so much? Can't call it a hard-use knife if it can't cut anything. It's a knife. Here's another good one. Why are you such a Chris Reeve fanboy? Oh my. I don't know. I might have, what, 3 or 4 hours of me talking about Chris Reeve knives on this channel, at least. Some of it's objective fact, some of it's opinion, but I think it's all pretty rational. And you know, guys, if you have to ask me that question and you've watched these videos, you probably don't understand the answer, and that's okay. But I believe Chris Reeve knives are the best production folding knives in the world, and they're well worth their money, and I've explained why ad nauseum. Here's another one. Will you be taking a vacation to Beijing later this year? No. I won't. Okay, That was kind of sarcastic. Sorry about that. Okay, let's get on to what we're going to see on the Apostle P channel this year in 2015. Well, yes, there will be lots of knife review videos and from the sharpening bench videos of guest knives that are in for sharpening. That will not change. Like most of you, I watched a lot of SHOT Show videos in the last few weeks, specifically knife company booth reviews, and was underwhelmed with what most of the companies are bringing to the table. Just kind of recooked stuff, and something's happened at these trade shows, the big ones at least, SHOT Show specifically. It seems like a lot of these middle-sized companies that make knives have hired marketing people. You know, they sound like the same people that come in and come into my dealership, the car dealership, and try to sell me stuff like internet web listing services, and they've got these canned scripts. They're talking about features on knives that you can tell they have no idea what they just said. You know, pretty girls and young guys with marketing degrees, and I found it all very sterile and distasteful this year, and a lot of the products to be sterile and distasteful. However, there's a bright spot. If you guys have been looking at the Cold Steel website and the new products section in the last month, you're seeing some things that are pretty exciting. A new relationship with Cold Steel knives and Carpenter Steel. We're going to see a lot of knives that used to be AUS 8A and CTS XHP this year. And some of the less expensive knives are going to move from AUS 8A to Carpenter BD1. That's a change that really interests me. In fact, I'm going to do a little testing of AUS 8 versus BD1 probably before a lot of these new knives come out, because I have my doubts that BD1 performs as well as AUS 8A, so stay tuned for that. Also, Rob and Steve's Traditional Knives Anthology will roll on through 2015. That's Steve of How About the Truth. I think we've got, what, 12 or 13 episodes in the book, and I've got knives sitting here for 2 more. And Steve has about 200 traditional knives, so we're not remotely reaching the end of this. Steve is a great folding knife, traditional folding knife historian. He's got a great inventory. Here's a couple things I think that will interest you, especially those of you who, like me, are sort of into this new traditional knives renaissance. I'm going to try to take, in the next couple months, a trip to Titusville, Pennsylvania, and visit the Great Eastern Cutlery Factory and the Queen Factory in the same trip. And there will be video of both of those trips. Also, the plan is for me and a couple other YouTubers, One All's Pub, Toad Sticker, and probably Campfire Talk, to attend this year's Blade Show, the first week of June in Atlanta. There will be video of that. And here's something I keep promising every time I do an update video. More shooting! More shooting! I've got an M&P Shield, new model with no safety, that I've put a couple hundred rounds down the pipe, and there's a review of that coming. Also, the Mission Field America series will continue. I did the first 2 episodes of that series in August and September, I think, last year, and just haven't had time to get the rest of them done, and those will be coming out in the next couple months. That's kind of it for video content. I did have an idea a couple weeks ago, and I got a quote for these, and if you watched my Instagram page last week or the week before, you saw a mock-up of a morale patch, you know, the Velcro patch for your uniform or for your pack, for the Apostle P channel. They're kind of a 2-tone tan kind of thing going on, 1.5 by 2.5. If you're interested in one of those, I'm thinking of buying a couple hundred of them. I can buy them for about $2 a piece, and sell them to you for $5 shipped, and recoup my money and then have enough to give out to, you know, kind of my best customers for free with knife jobs and stuff. So let me know if there's any interest in that. Here's my knife wish list for 2015. First of all, and this one's already ordered, you guessed it, a Chris Reeve large Sebenza in Singo micarta. I have a small one, I need a large one. 2 cold steel knives that will be in inventory by the end of the year. The Cold Steel Ultimate Hunter. This is a new, it sort of looks like an Andrew Demko AD10, and I think that's in CTS XHP steel with contoured smooth G10 handles. And then the Cold Steel 4 Max, which is going to be an American-made 20 CV steel, $599 MSRP. It's basically a production AD10 with top-of-the-line materials. Yes, I am in the market for a Cold Steel folding knife that retails for $600. They won't street for that, but I will have one. Still on the radar is a Hinderer XM18, and I really like the Skinner blade. And the new Emerson Iron Dragon is on the list. And yes, it's time for me to buy another zero tolerance knife. The new Rexford ZT0808 is awesome looking, and I can't wait till those are in production. And I'm sure I will at some point this year buy a custom traditional knife. Got to do some research on whose I want and what style. That's about it, except not only do I want to thank you guys, all my sharpening customers and YouTube subscribers, but some other folks who have become important parts of my life as it pertains to my YouTube channel and my sharpening business. Great friends all. First, some YouTubers who I communicate with on a regular basis, who are only one of whom I've ever seen in person, but I talk to all the time. They're like brothers. Campfire Talk, One All's Pub, Toad Sticker, and Steve at How About the Truth. Don't know if I would keep going with this if it weren't for your support. And 3 people who are suppliers of mine, retailers, who I enjoy talking to a lot and are just great ethical businessmen with great products and great service. First of all, Mike Latham at collectorknives.net, big traditional knife purveyor and purveyor of the gospel. Mike, you're awesome, and thank you for your guidance and for the knives. And then next, Derek Bone and Tyler at knifeshipfree.com. Derek, by the way, has a new video series on kids' knives and how to get kids into knife collecting and using knives responsibly. So check out his channel. And his YouTube channel, I believe, is just Derek Bone. And of course, you guys know, if you order knives from Knife Ship Free, Tyler is the guy that handles all the trouble. He's the one that takes your order and gets it in the mail and handles your complaints and all that stuff. And last, Ben Dale at Edge Pro, and Cody, his apprentice, his right-hand man, who kind of does Tyler's job at Edge Pro. And once again, thank you, all of you subscribers and sharpening customers. Your participation makes this possible. That's all for February 2015. I think that was enough, don't you? Grace to you and peace, my friends, from God our Father and the Lord Jesus Christ. And remember, the word is sharp.